Hello, kids. I feel that we need to have a conversation. Should move that out of the way. Um, yeah, I feel like we should have a conversation. We had this conversation before, actually, about Leica being a gateway drug to more Leica. Um, you all know my history. I was a Canon shooter, and we'll go through this again. I was a Canon shooter, and then I bought an M8, and then I sold that M8 and regretted it. So we all know this. We've done this in the previous videos. Then Toma, who I'd like to call a friend, sold me a Leica Q, which had over 1 bazillion shots on it. I used that for ages. And then the EVF went. I had that repaired. And then I bought a Q2. So the Q was sitting. And then I had the Q2. I had a Q and a Q2. Then I sold the Q to finance an M8, because I went an M8 again, which cost me in the end $500 to get an M8 with a TT Artisans 35mm and a spare battery. So I ended up with an M8 and a Q2. Not a bad problem to have when you think about it. I have an M camera, which I always loved, and I had a Q2, which is a superb camera. Absolutely superb. Then an opportunity came my way, weirdly by way of the guy who sold me the Q. He popped up in my messages going, "Hey, I thought of you." I was like, "Okay. Would you switch your Q2 for a different camera?" And I had to think about it. There was no pressure on his side, but I had to think about it. I really did. I wasn't sure. I had to do some research. It's another Leica, don't worry. I didn't switch it for a fucking Fuji. Would I switch my Q2 for another camera? Now, the funny thing about the Q2 is I love that camera. The weather sealing, the lens, that 28mm is just superb. You know, it's a fancy point and shoot. And I love that camera. So I had to think about it. Not for very long, but I had to think about it. So the exchange happened a couple of weeks ago. And I switched my Q2 for this. For those of you that aren't familiar, this is a Leica SL2S, and it is a tank of a fucking camera. It came with the L to M adapter, so I can use old lenses. So I've had a few lenses, because I bought the 21mm Voigtlander for the M8, so I can get crop sensor. I can get to closer to 28mm. And then I bought the TT Artisans 21mm, which I gave away in a competition that one person entered, so easy competition for them to win. And then I've got the 35mm TT Artisans. And now I have I'll have to put my glasses on because I'm old and blind. I have an SL2S, and this is a Nocton, with a Nocton Classic 35mm 1.4. So I switched my Q2 for an SL2S with a 35mm lens, and we all know that 35mm, I've said this before, it's not my favorite focal. It's not my favorite focal length. It came boxed, all the original stuff. It's as Thomas does it. So we switched cameras, and it was super funny because we're in a coffee shop and I'm super busy. But I say, hey, I can't stay. Check the camera out. I'm like, yep, cool, let's do this. Let's go. I'm like, if you ever get rid of that Q2, the first person you message is me because I'll buy it back. And he went, that's really funny because if you ever want to get rid of that, call me. So we may just end up exchanging cameras back. Although we'll talk about that camera in a second. So that's super interesting. So I've gone M8, Q2, M8 and a Q2 to an M8 and an SL2S. Now, I think the SL2S is actually, and I've only had it for a very short period of time, I think it is possibly one of the most underrated cameras that Leica has ever produced. It's silly. Now, the Q2 is 47.3 million pixels. The SL2S is 24 million. So I've gone down. Whatever. The ISO speed on the Q2 is up to 50,000. I can go up to 100,000 on SL2S. The Q2 is weather sealed IP52. I've got IP54 on the SL. But I'm assuming that's not with the L to M mount on it, and the old lenses aren't weather sealed or the classics aren't weather sealed. The OLED or the EVF on the Q2 is 3.68 million pixels. The one on the SL is 5.76. And of course, the Q2 comes with that 28mm Summicron fucking 1.7, which is, as we all know, if you want to buy that lens for an M camera, is a $9,000 lens. So the Q is a $9,000 lens, point and shoot. Why did I do it? Especially as the two lenses I'd want to shoot on this camera are a 28mm Summilux 1.7, which I can't afford, or if you go looking at the 28mm L lens, which is a big lens, it's $5,000 plus tax, which again I can't afford. But I do now have a plethora of old vintage lenses that I can get. I've got two 35s, I've got a 21, which won't come off the M8 because that's my M8 lens. So that leaves me with, what do I buy? And this is why I've always said Leica is a gateway drug to more Leica, because it is, and more lenses, because it is. Because I have a Voigtland 28mm lens turning up at some point this week, which I bought because I want a 28mm lens for DSL. And there's a couple of things with this camera, right? You don't have any markings on any of the buttons because you can customize them all. The on-off switch is brilliant. The actual interesting. Why is that doing that? Oh, it's because I've ding 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 changing the exposure. The noise it makes is so sexy. Little screen on top is great. The OLED, the viewfinder, I wear sunglasses an awful lot. This is the only, and I was shooting with it yesterday, this is actually the only viewfinder on any camera I've ever had where I can actually I don't have to take off my sunglasses to actually use the viewfinder, which is brilliant. The function button, I've got it set to 300% zoom on one function button, so I just click it or thing. It gives me, so I can hit my critical point of focus. I can change the shutter speed on that big rolly thing. It's a tank. It's a big camera. It's a heavy camera. It might make me actually shoot color again because the color that comes out of that camera is amazing. And someone was taking the piss out of me the other day that I have great camera bodies and access to great glass, and I just shoot black and white because I prefer shooting black and white. That's my thing. But I might shoot color. So take this as a warning. Another warning. Leica is a gateway drug to more Leica. This didn't cost me anything. I simply switched a Q2 for an SL2S with a 35mm 1.4 Nocton lens. I think I did well out of that deal. I think I got the better end of the deal, and Tom Hudge wanted to go back to shooting 28. You know, he put millions of photographs through that original Q. He's got the Q2, and I've got an SL2S. I don't know what the S stands for, other than sublime. The camera looks amazing. Someone saw me yesterday. It's like, is that a Leica? I'm like, yeah. Can I hold it? Of course. I'll put up some base images that I've taken the last thing. I've been busy, so I haven't taken many images. But if someone offers you an SL2S, or if someone offers you an SL2, take it. If someone offers you an SL2S for your Q, switch. It's sublime. It's stealthy. It's not stealthy, it's fucking huge, but S stands for something, and I don't know what it is. But that camera is, yeah, it's really good. I could do professional work. I could shoot weddings on that. It's really, and it's a Leica experience. It's the same as always. It's just a bloody good experience. It's good in the hand. It's a bit heavy, but it's well thought out. Minimal buttons, minimal everything. So expect an update at some point with some more images and my learning experience, because it's bloody sexy with the nothing but black. That's a really nice looking camera, and it's really well built. I'm quite happy. So stay tuned, but be warned. You'll exchange your camera. It won't cost you anything, but then you'll buy a lens, so it'll cost you about $1,000 for a lens. You get hit in the pocket some way. Seemed like a good deal. It was a good deal, but I still got fucked. I had to buy another lens. It's first world problems, but take it as a warning again. Leica is a gateway drug to more Leica.